It's National Truth and Reconciliation Day across Canada. We'll tell you about events to commemorate the day here in Cornerbrook.
Hundreds of people gathered in St. John's today to observe the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I'll have more coming up on Here and Now.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to this special 30-minute edition of Here and Now on this National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Of our events to mark this day, also known as Orange Shirt Day, were held right across the country today. In St. John's, the group First Light held a rally on the steps of Confederation Building. The CBC's Jenna Head was there.
Hundreds of people gathered outside of the Confederation Building on Tuesday afternoon to remember the Indigenous children who never returned home from residential schools, to honor the survivors, and to make sure systems like the residential schools never return.
It could easily happen again if you just let everything slide. So I think it's being that people know that we're here for a reason. We went to residential school for a reason, and we're not here to let it happen again.
And the crowds and the children who attend these events on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation also provide hope.
Because it's important to recognize what happened in the past, and we're going to try to make it better.
Skylar, tell me why you're wearing orange today.
To recognize the people in residential schools.
Tell me why you're wearing orange.
To respect the people that made it and didn't make it from the residential schools.
For the staff and organizers at First Light, that knowledge is power.
You have to have the truth before you have the reconciliation, and if people aren't aware of the issues, if people don't know about the history of this country, well then they don't know that there's a problem that needs to change. Elder
Emma Realis said she prays for the youth, who will be the ancestors of future generations.
They're the ones that got to take over what we went through, and for them they have to look out for their ancestors and the children, and for them to look after what we fought for not to happen again in residential schools.
Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
Party leaders on the campaign trail took part in events to mark Truth and Reconciliation Day. NDP leader Jim Dinn joined that rally on Confederation Hill. He talked about standing in solidarity with Indigenous groups and says there's more work to do on the path to reconciliation.
It's a significant day to, when you consider the colonial past, the need for truth and reconciliation. So in that way, it's good to be, I think, as one of the speakers there, sort of settler allies and about standing in solidarity with Indigenous people, Indigenous communities across, not just Newfoundland, but across Canada. I think it's necessary too, because, I was reading in the Tyee this earlier about in BC, where one of the opposition members really objected to the Truth and Reconciliation flag and the orange shirt being displayed inside the legislature. Really objected to because, how did she put it? It gave misinformation about the Canada's history. So if nothing else, apart from bringing people together, a day like this is realizing that there's still work to be done, and making sure that to me, it's an education piece, and that's what I heard very clearly today as well.
Liberal and PC leaders were on the other side of the island today attending Truth and Reconciliation Day ceremonies in Cornerbrook. Here Now's Mark Quinn was there.
We honor the survivors who came home shattered, broken, and scarred for life. Let their voices and truth be acknowledged and shared. May their experiences stand as a testament of what should never, never happen again.
More than 100 people were here to remember the survivors of residential schools and make a call to action, asking provincial leaders to do more work towards reconciliation.
I feel like we're having to work a little harder with our provincial governments to really get them to come across the table, meet us halfway, and truly work together in a spirit of reconciliation. There's a lot that we can do collaboratively, and there's a hesitation there.
PC leader Tony Wakeham was here outside the Halibut Nation buildings as well. He said if the Progressive Conservatives form the next provincial government, they will work with Indigenous leaders.
I think the important thing for me is that partnership and the ability to listen, because that's the most important thing for me, is to listen and to find out exactly. It's not about me telling them, it's about them telling me their stories and telling me what the best way we can all help and working together to get that done.
The Liberals weren't here at this ceremony this morning, but Liberal leader John Hogan was at a second Truth and Reconciliation event here at the Rotary Arts Centre.
We heard today that we need to do more in our school system, so not only for people like me and my family, but for Indigenous people in this province as well, to make sure that they don't lose things that are very important to them, like their language. And I think that is a priority. That's important. We can't move forward as a society if we're not educating our children. And if there's not enough budget in the education line in our budget for Indigenous groups in this province, then I think that's very, very much a priority. That's something we need to look at in future budgets.
Out of respect for the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, the Progressive Conservatives and the Liberals didn't hold any campaign events today. Mark Quinn, CBC News, Cornerbrook.
Well, now to Labrador. People in Happy Valley Goose Bay marked this day of reflection with a march through the community. One residential school survivor shared her story and talked about what the day means to her.
I'm a third-generation residential school survivor. I attended from 75 to 79, 4 years in Northwest River. I lend my voice for those who did not have the opportunity to come back home. I've lost many friends from the dorm that I lived with in the dorm in Northwest River. Friends who had become family. You know, there's all these difficult challenges that we had to face when we went to the dorm, but we also built so many friendships. People need to know our story. They need to know the experience of the Indigenous population with the residential school experience. And they need to be held accountable so that something like this doesn't happen again. So there's an onus on everybody to recognize and learn from those mistakes that were made with residential schools, and to hold people accountable, the federal government, provincial government, municipal government, so that they learn and they realize that this can't happen again.
Staying in Labrador, Lake Melville School opened its doors to residential school survivors this week, where they talked about the importance of this day. Here's what some of the teachers and students had to say about the experience.
We're having a tea and talk. So there's some kids that are having their cup of tea, and some kids are having their water and their juice, and they're chatting.
Our goal today was to create an event where it could be led by students, where they could talk about things at their own pace, learn at their own pace, and share with each other, rather than us just telling them what happened. This is, how it was. A lot of these students have their own stories that were passed down from their grandparents and their family members. A lot of them have been hearing about this their whole lives, and it's just a great opportunity for them to talk and to share with each other.
It honestly makes me really sad to think about it, because I would never be able to imagine everybody here not being able to be who they really want to be or who they really are, and they would all have to be the same. I can't picture it.
Well, with the students, what we hear from the students about truth and reconciliation is a lot about having to leave home, right? And the experiences of having to leave home. And of course, everyone have different experiences, and this allows them to share all those experiences that they've heard from previous generations.
I had a small conversation this morning with the grade 1 and 2 class, and I asked them, I said, what do you guys know about truth and reconciliation? Because they were so excited to have a day off from school tomorrow. And I wanted them to know there's a reason why you have a day off from school tomorrow. It's not just a surprise weekend. I think they need to understand the significance behind it. And you could do that in an age-appropriate way no matter what the age. So we talked about how, we just had the gathering last week. A lot of our students go to the gathering. with their families for the week, and we talked about how great it is that they can celebrate and still practice their culture, but not all little boys and girls were always allowed to do that.
The annual Sisters in Spirit Vigil will be held this Saturday. The ceremony honors missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. Some organizers and community members in St. John's stopped by the CBC radio studio to discuss the significance of that upcoming event.
Our vigil is happening this Saturday, October the 4th. If you would like to attend, please reach out to the St. John's Status Women's Center or First Light, of course. We are also live streaming it on our Facebook page as well. Support has changed over the years, you know. There is more of an acceptance. It is becoming safer to identify as Indigenous. We know that that was not always the case. We know that sometimes that is still not the case. And I would encourage everybody to educate themselves, to read the National Inquiry, to read the Truth and Reconciliation Act, to have conversations, to do anything that they can, whether you're Indigenous or not.
I think it's easier for most people to show up when
it's a celebration,
but when it's hard, they don't want to hear the truth of the genocide that Indigenous women are facing in, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's still happening today. It's not going to stop unless people help us and rally behind us and amplify our voices, because we're getting tired. When we are living through these truths, through all the pain that we've endured over the years, it can be isolating when you don't have a community to fall back on and to listen to your truths, to listen to your pain and to listen to your sorrow, and for people to back us up and say, I'm here for you.
Indigenous people and communities and leaders and organizations have been making their calls either formally through calls of action or their asks for support in community so clear for so long that if you are listening to this conversation and wondering how do I fit in, or if you are, you know, a leader locally and you're wondering where do I step in, the work has been done. It's abundantly clear. It's your role and responsibility to kind of tap in and make yourself available to support people, certainly this week around these two big days, but all year long.
In other news, Happy Valley Goose Bay will have a new mayor after the upcoming municipal election, and the two candidates happen to have some family connections. The CBC's Reagan Burden explains.
It's a big topic of conversation in Happy Valley Goose Bay, the municipal election. Only 3 of the 11 people running for council are incumbent, meaning the town council could see a big turnover. And one way or another, there will be a new mayor taking office. Edward Blake Rakowski is one of 2 people running in the mayoral race.
I have the experience, I have the force of personality to bring a firm hand and an aggressive, assertive hand, is a better word, assertive hand to these discussions with people who are used to dealing with very high-level issues. And I have that experience, and I think I feel very confident in my ability to deliver on the behalf of the people of Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Running against Blake Rutkowski is incumbent councillor Bert Pomeroy. Pomeroy and Blake Rutkowski are brothers-in-law, a touchy topic of conversation that led Pomeroy to decline an interview with CBC. When Blake Rutkowski was asked about running against his brother-in-law, he said their relationship shouldn't be a primary discussion point in the election. Instead, he feels a municipal election should be focused on the issues, like ensuring the area benefits from the proposed Gull Island Hydro project.
And we have to ensure that when that development comes, and I think it'd be foolhardy to think that it won't, we have to ensure that we have safeguards in place and that we have an agreement in place with the various proponents of that project that will support the needs of this community. We can't get left behind again.
Blake Rutkowski also says there are changes that need to be made to ensure the future of the community.
And I think it's time to have to adopt a strategic type mindset to figure out where we want to be in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now.
On Thursday night, we'll find out if Edward Blake Rutkowski or Bert Pomeroy will be the new mayor. Reagan Burden, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Out.
Ashley, it was another beautiful fall day here in the east, but some places it was a lot colder.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely feeling much colder in some areas, and even seeing some snow in the higher elevations, particularly on the hills between Postville and Makovic. There, you can see that snow there. This is just pretty much going to continue, at least for the next couple of days. We are eventually in for a warm-up, but yeah, definitely feeling more fall-like. We've got some windy conditions as well for coastal areas of Labrador, thanks to an area of low pressure just offshore, and then we've got a high pressure to our west. But the tighter that gradient there is, the stronger the wind. So some of you are seeing some stronger winds, particularly from Cartwright to Makovic, about 61 km/h wind gusts today. And really, most areas are seeing between 30 to as much as 50 km/h winds. But that is going to change as we head through the night tonight. We'll eventually see those winds ease as the ridge of high pressure dominates the weather picture a little bit more. That is also going to lead to some cooler air. We are seeing some cooler air for coastal areas of Labrador into the single digits. Away from that onshore flow, though, temperatures were warmer today, about 11 to 16 degrees. But like I said, temperatures really going to change as we head through tonight. Clear skies, light winds. That's going to allow the temperature to drop significantly, especially for low-lying areas. We'll still be dealing with the potential for some showers, maybe even again some flurries in the higher elevations for the coast. That will be the story along the northeast coast of the island as well. So varying levels of cloud cover, along with the potential for some drizzle. But it really is the temperatures tonight, 2 to 4 degrees overnight tonight. Labrador a little cooler. You'll be dealing with temperatures between -1 and about +3. Again, coastal areas of Labrador seeing those gusty winds around 50 km/h. But Lab City, don't be surprised to see some flurries or a little bit of wet snow, and that will continue at least through the first part of tomorrow as well. Don't be surprised to see that. But the weather will improve slightly as we head into the afternoon. Some areas will see some cloud cover, or some sunshine rather, come out, but still going to deal with some showers potentially for the coast and most of the island as well. I mean, the west coast of the island will see some sunshine to start the day, but we'll see some clouds move in and unsettled showers potentially and some drizzle. Not too much, but still certainly possible through the day. Your daytime highs tomorrow are going to be much cooler than today, that's for sure. 8 to 10 degrees for most, with those northerly winds gusting somewhere between 20 to 40 km/h. West coast, south coast, the warmest between 10 to 15 degrees tomorrow, and then up across Labrador again, most areas sitting in the single digits. But a mix of sun and cloud for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and along the strait, temperatures should be around the 10-degree mark. Now, I've been keeping my eye on the tropics over the last couple of days. 2 storms right now fairly close together. We've got Humberto, which did top off at a Category 5 hurricane, but now we are seeing Category 1, and that will stay north of Bermuda. And then we've got Imelda, and that is actually going to strengthen to a Category 2 hurricane by the time it crosses Bermuda. And we're talking about that happening over the next day or so. So hurricane warnings now in place for you, for those of you in Bermuda, rather. Now, taking a look at the weather, looking ahead to us, again, not going to see any effects from this, but it is going to be unsettled as we head through the day on Thursday. Again, looking at some shower chances up across parts of Labrador. Temperatures moderating a little bit. Should be sitting somewhere between 10 to 12 degrees. Most cases between 8 to 12 across the island portion of the province as well. But overall, it will be unsettled. Same thing pretty much as we head into Friday. Some more shower chances up across Labrador as well. And temperatures will start to rebound, though. We're talking about daytime highs sitting between 14 to as much as 18 degrees. Looking at plenty of sunshine in the long range as well for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. Temperatures will sit around 17 degrees on Saturday. Sunday dropping down to 10. We're looking at temperatures warming for central and western Newfoundland as well. And then for Labrador, you're looking at temperatures dropping by the time we get into Saturday and some showers. Our weather photo of the day taken on the west coast. Great shot on Gull Pond. My goodness, what a beautiful sky. Definitely worth getting up for. Thank you to Roberta for that. If you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to see them. You can send them to us by email, nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Look at that one over there.
Is this good?
Yeah, a little bit more. That felt good.
Therapeutic almost. There's a wrestling ring down there. What's that about?
This is wild.
Well, as we learned yesterday, St. John's has shifted its election day from October 2nd to October 8th to allow more time for mail-in ballots to be collected because of the ongoing postal workers' strike. In this election, the race for the mayor's seat will be one to watch. The candidates are incumbent Mayor Danny Breen and political newcomer and local business owner Ivy Hanley. Now, the CBC's Jenna Head wants to know what voters are looking for in a mayor.
We're at the St. John's Etsy Market today, and we're asking people, what would you do if you were the mayor of St. John's?
I'd do all the streets in St. John's.
Yeah.
And pave them and have them sensible.
With the type of work I'm in, accessibility is always top of mind. So I think there's lots that can be done in our city regarding accessibility. So maybe that would be what I would say.
Part of the problem that I see with a lot of the economy today is more so just letting big corporations come in, suck money out of the community, and that money goes elsewhere. And a lot of people are struggling these days, and I would like to see more initiatives to make sure that the businesses that are here, the money stays within the community, because it's no use if it leaves.
So many things. I'd bring the farmers market back on Wednesdays and Sundays, so it's not just the Saturdays anymore.
I will sit down first and think through what has been happening in the city, where there is a need. And for me, I think we have housing issues. Very, very obvious. We've had people sleeping outside. I don't think it's a good thing for the city. And if we want the city to work, people are moving in from other provinces because of our immigration that is very friendly, then get housing solved.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to find out who wins that race. So much voting coming up because we have the municipal election in St. John's October 8th and then October 14th, the provincial election. So, yeah, lots of voting. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.
Tokyo. Delivery of